Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyaptadeháya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. We are still in the process of introducing the text Viveka Chudamani. So we have seen so far that the human being is in a unique position, and that position is we are self-judging. We're totally free, and we also totally self-judging. Therefore, one has a complex about oneself, naturally. And one has a responsibility to make choices because one is not happy being oneself, unlike an animal. And the question is, how do we make these choices? What's the basis to make choices in our life? Because if there is one thing about which we do not have choice, that is to make a choice. We don't have a choice with respect to making a choice. So if we have to make a choice, what is the basis of the choice? Is it what we like and what we dislike? That's what the normal basis of choice is. And what I like and dislike is obviously influenced by my past, by my background, by my value structure, by my attitudes. All these will definitely influence my likes and dislikes. They influence my personality. What is my personality? My likes and dislikes predominantly, and my values. So, but if this is the basis of choice, why do you like something? We have no clear idea. If you examine anything that you like, you try to examine why do you like something? And you find, you may give a reason. I like it because it tastes good. Tastes good, why? Why does it taste good? Somebody else doesn't like it. Why does it taste good to you? You can't answer that. I didn't like it, but now I started liking it. Why? No answer. You liked it, but you stopped liking it. Why again? Too much. I've had too much of it. So likes and dislikes themselves have no basis, and they are also changing. Not no base, some basis. All right. Your conclusions that this is good makes you have a value for it. Your conclusion this is hurting me or this is not good will make you have a value against it. Right? So this is how we go about it. And then we introduced last time that, we don't have a clear idea about what is the cause of everything, why things are the way they are. I didn't create this world. Neither did any of you. Neither did our forefathers. We all find ourselves in this world. Right? So the world is not something that's our creation. The body is not our creation. The trees and plants are not our creation. The animals are not our creation. The climate is not our creation. The sun and moon are not our creation. What is our creation, if anything? I say I. Did I create this body? Did I create this mind? And if I, what is I itself in question? Where is mine? What sticks to I? Where is my? What you call my son, where is your son? What is your claim to claim him as mine? You ask him, are you my son? His wife will tell you, no, he's my husband now. Right? Because mother's claim has to go. Now wife is more important. She is taken over. And after some time, children will claim that's my dad, not your son alone, okay? You have to share your sun now. So what is this I and mine? So if you start thinking very seriously, then very difficult to make choices also, because you don't know what is going on. So in this context, we saw that there is the Veda walks in. I introduced the Veda last time. So what is the Veda? The Veda is a means of knowledge. Because whatever else you may have known about Veda, you keep that aside for now. Right now, what do we look upon Vedas? As a means of knowledge. Knowledge of what? Means and ends. Knowledge of means and ends. For whom? For a human being. They address only a human being, not animals. Animals don't read the Veda or study it, okay? Animals don't need to. They are programmed and they're happy being what they are. They don't need to change anything whatsoever. A human being has a problem, and therefore a human being needs some things to guide his choices too. So this Veda is a means of knowledge. What's the nature of a means of knowledge? A means of knowledge does not need to be proved by any other means of knowledge. A means of knowledge is that which has a unique access to a given field of knowing. Like eyes have access to color, ears have access to sound. Nothing else has access to sound except your ears. And where perception and inference have no access, that alone is the sphere of knowledge of the Veda. Okay. This Vedic vision is what? What is the vision of the whole Veda? The vision of the Veda is all that is here is Ishvara. Why, Swamiji, why are we looking at all this right now? We came for Viveka Chudamani. Viveka Chudamani is called a text in Vedanta. Okay? So before we enter that, we better know what is Vedanta. Before we get to Vedanta, Anta is end. We better know what is Veda. Okay? That's the connection. So the entire Veda has one vision. All that is here is Ishvara. Ishavasyam idam sarvam. So what? Kim tarhi? So what? Let everything be Ishvara. Till now I knew there are trees, there are plants, there are animals, there is sky, there is water, there is air. Now I'll say, okay, one more synonym for all the words, Ishvara. Is that how it is? What does Ishvara mean? I use word, but that word should have a meaning. Is it a synonym to all these? Is it one more name for all of them? Like, you have a person, Parminder Singh, and his what will be called Pammi. So where did Pammi come from? That's his nickname. Is that like that? You have one nickname for everything called Ishvara? No. Then what is Ishvara? If I say everything is Ishvara, do you see one common thing everywhere? Do you see anything like that? If you don't, then what is Ishvara? All right, everything is Ishvara. Let's move to the next chapter. You can't move. Stay. We have to stay here till we have some appreciation of what does Ishvara mean. Because if you still see a tree as a tree, a house as a house, what is Ishvara now? If everything is Ishvara, you should be able to see, we should be able to open our eyes and with at least some effort appreciate Ishvara. Yes or no? Like when I show you this pot and I say, what is this? This is a pot. All right. Then I ask you one further. What else do you see other than pot? Is there anything more? Yes, Swami, we see clay because so much Vedanta class, Yes, we see clay. No, what else do you see other than clay and pot? Swami, we see light. That's more Vedanta classes. See, it should not be like that, okay? It should not be programmed. It should come fresh. All right? It is light. Now, general parlance, what is this? A pot. But if I ask you what else, you're able to think and say it is light. Now I ask you, what else do you say? Can you say Ishvara? It's not easy. Because why it's not easy? Why it's not easy? Because we don't know what it is. It's just a word which hasn't sunk in. So let me put the other way around. I ask you, in your own mind, what is Ishvara? Something will come to your head. You look what comes to your mind. Swami, one particular form comes. That is Ishvara, no question about it. But is that all that is Ishvara? Vedic vision is all that is here is Ishvara. It is not saying some things are Ishvara. All that is here is Ishvara. So how do you understand that now? Look at the world. You look at anything. So we saw this spot, right? This spot. What is spot? How do you know it's a pot? How did you call it a pot? What is this that I'm wearing on my nose? Glasses. How do you know it's glasses? What do you call glasses? Now I'll show you something else. What is this? Clock? Why don't you say glasses? There's glass here too. See, there's a reflection also. You can see that. It's a glass. Why don't you call this glass? Glasses to one glass. Same shape. Why don't we call it that? So when you hear the word glasses, something occurs in your mind. When you hear the word clock, something occurs in your mind. Correct? What occurs in your mind? An idea. What is any idea? Suppose I say now, think of a zebra. Does it come to your mind? Think of a lion, a male lion. One form comes. Female lion, different form comes. Correct? So any word I say, what does it, how do you understand the word? It is your knowledge of the meaning of that word. Is that true or not? Any word is but your understanding of the meaning of that word. If I say bring a glass of water, you understand the words and you bring me a glass of water. If you didn't understand, you will not bring it. Correct? So now you look at any blessed thing, okay? Earth. There's an idea in your mind. Pencil, idea in your mind. Angry, idea in your mind. Kind, idea in your mind. Late, time, idea in your mind. Early, idea in your mind. Cyclone, low pressure belt. You may get some TV image, but some idea. You don't understand what it is, but you'll get some idea. Correct? Atomic energy is available for you to see. But you get an idea or not? For every word, is there a meaning or not? What is knowledge? Word and meaning. Knowledge is nothing but word and meaning. So what is the whole world now? Lot of words. How do you describe the world? You describe anything. How do you describe anything? In any language you choose, how do you describe it? You think of anything. How do you think about it? I don't know how a human being will think without language. It's too complex, See, language means you have a nice index to various data elements. So the whole world is what? Knowledge. Because every word is knowledge of what? A name you give to that knowledge, and there's a form. any form associated. It could be a visual form, an auditory form, a, a smell, a taste, a touch, an emotion, an idea, a concept, anything could be there. It could be simple, it could be complex. But what is it? It's knowledge. Okay. So if Ishvara is all that is here, what should Ishvara be? Knowledge. Knowledge of what? Knowledge of everything. Knowledge of everything. What do you mean by knowledge of everything? Look, in your dream, what do you see in your dream? Generally, what do you see? Do you see something that you never knew in waking? Or do you see things which you have seen in your waking? You may see a human being you never saw in your memory. You saw a person clearly, and that person you haven't seen in waking. But you have seen human beings before. And you have seen variety of human beings. And maybe you have seen one on TV which you forgot about also. Right? But the fact is, anything you see in your dream, can you see in your dream? Or let me put it differently. Right now, can you imagine anything that you don't know at all? Try. How will you start to imagine what you don't know? You should not know at all anything about it. You can't imagine. So your entire knowledge, your entire knowledge is what? Your world is your entire knowledge. Is there anything more than that? Is there anything more to your world than your knowledge? My world is my knowledge. Your world is your knowledge. Is that not true? Then what is all knowledge? My knowledge I have, your knowledge, all of our knowledge is put together. Is that all knowledge? 10 idiots, all knowledge. Will it be all knowledge? There can be 25 more who will come later. Correct? I'm saying the knowledge of the past, whatever has gone by was knowledge or not? Whole Ramayana Mahabharata is knowledge or not? It is. Whatever is going to come in the future is what? Knowledge or not? So now any knowledge, any time, unmanifest, yet to manifest, was manifest, should all be included on knowledge, in all knowledge. Okay, let Ishvara be all knowledge. So what? One guy is sitting somewhere. I didn't say it's a guy. All right. Now, whenever we do something, let us say, you decide to get your dress stitched, right? You go to the tailor. You're not ordering, free for all size from Amazon. You decide to go and get it tailored, right? So he measures you up. Then you go for a trial round because it's a very expensive suit you're getting stitched. What happens in trial round? You check. Oh, I think it should be a little loose here. This side should be a little tight. You do that or not? Okay. Why did he stitch it wrong? He took your measurements. Why he needs a trial run? Why does he call you for a trial? Because something could have gone wrong. His knowledge may not be the knowledge exactly what you wanted in your fitting. Correct? And if he messed it up badly, then what kind of a tailor is he as per you? Useless tailor. Made it so tight. And even if he tries to loosen after trial, it's not going to fully loose because it's made so tight. Why? Ignorant tailor. Doesn't know his work. Correct? So now you take anyone, you cook. You decided you will cook. Suddenly 4 guests are coming. You decided to cook. And you added salt. When you eat, what do you discover? It became too salty. Every day it's perfect. Today it's what? Too salty. What happened? 4 people came. I got a little nervous. I added a little more thing. It shouldn't be less. Then what happens? It becomes more. Why? I didn't know exactly how much salt would be right. Correct? Now, what is right? What is wrong? Who knows? For salt, you know. For dress, you know. But how should a tree be? Who knows? Who knows that? Look, any knowledge you have, moreover, you examine. Did you do you have any knowledge to start with? Or do you start with a blank slate when you're born? Blank. Then what do you learn? A for apple. All right. Now you know what is A for apple. So you know what apple means. B for boy. C for cat. Something you learn. Isn't this how we learn every word and its knowledge association? You do. How do you know the apple? By looking at the apple and having a name apple for it. But to make the apple, somebody should have had knowledge. Whatever is there is knowledge. I hope that is clear to you now. Everything there is only knowledge. And knowledge resides where? Knowledge resides in a pot or resides in the stitching, the sewing machine. It will stitch your suit. Does it reside there? Where does it reside? In a conscious being. If the entire world has to be manifested, should the knowledge precede the world manifestation or should come later? Should precede. Where was the knowledge? There must be a locus for the knowledge, and that locus must be a conscious being. And that conscious being, who is all knowledge, is what we call Ishvara. Because it has to be there. Whatever exists there must have been knowledge for that creation to appear. It's impossible otherwise. Suppose you cooked up something, even though it's excess salt, that knowledge to make that vegetable was yours. Maybe inherited from your mom. It doesn't matter. But that knowledge was there in your mind. You had something in mind. If you didn't know, you knew one thing. Put these vegetables together, put something in it, something will come out. That much knowledge you have. You didn't put stones to cook. That much knowledge you had. So it's whatever you cook is your knowledge. Bhagavan's cooking is whole jagat, okay? So what? So what? Now, where do you see the knowledge of a thing? Where do you see the knowledge of Bhagavan? Now, anything you see, you're seeing knowledge of Bhagavan. Anything you see, knowledge of Bhagavan. How far is your knowledge from you? Suppose you have some knowledge of something, you have a knowledge of what's a pumpkin. How far is that knowledge from you? It's never away from you. So if a thing you see, that knowledge whoever created, how far will it be from him? Or her? Not distant. Therefore, when you see a pumpkin, what are you seeing? You're seeing a pumpkin, a large yellow pumpkin, and that knowledge behind the pumpkin that makes the pumpkin cannot belong to a pumpkin, okay? It has to belong to somebody who knows it. That is Ishvara. Which means what? Ishvara is manifest as the pumpkin. He's manifest. And don't just think pumpkin form is Ishvara. Why the pumpkin tastes the way the pumpkin does? Why the pumpkin smells the way the pumpkin does? Why the pumpkin has the nutrients that it has? Why it does not have the nutrient it does not have? Why a pumpkin can stay longer without refrigeration? Why a pumpkin should grow on a creeper? Why some pumpkins are yellow, some are white inside? Why the pumpkin seeds are rich in certain things? Why? Why not mango seeds are good snacks instead of pumpkin seeds? It'll be nice. Big one seed is enough. You don't need a bowl full of pumpkin seeds. Why not? It doesn't work that way. Why is the pumpkin the way it is? It is the way it is because it cannot be different. You can't say, you know what, this design of pumpkin is not right. It should have been designed to be smaller, So shipping is easier. Right now, these large pumpkins are so difficult to handle. And one pumpkin we can't eat in a small, now it's nuclear families. Earlier, they were joint families. They could have 20 people at home. So one large pumpkin was enough for sabji for one day. But now we have I and you and I. That's the family. Therefore, what do we do? What will we do with such a big pumpkin? Bhagwan should have reduced. Now he knows the modern trend. He should reduce the size of pumpkin. No, pumpkin remains what it is. And you cannot say the pumpkin is bad or flawed design because you don't have the ability to comment on what it should be. Pumpkin is given to you. When the pumpkin is given to you, you have to appreciate what is given. You cannot now say, the pumpkin should have been, it's not like the suit, which you said should have been looser. You can't say like the salt extra, it shouldn't have been so much. That is your idea of how it should be. The tailor's idea was you look like a fellow who is wearing a bag and walking. You ask for a new suit, expensive material. I want you to look presentable because you will go and tell this tailor stitched me. So I made it proper. You think it's tight? Give me a break. That's the right way. You don't know what's the current trend. Tailor's knowledge is wrong? No. Is the customer's knowledge wrong? He's the fellow who is customer is king. He'll wear that suit. He wants it in a given way. Is he wrong? No. Who is wrong? Who is right? You don't know. But the fact is, the way you think, the way the tailor think, why your minds work that way? Why the tailor did not measure you properly, assuming he didn't? Why? What made him a little less careful than he should have been? What made him that? Why did you get upset when you saw the suit was a little tight? Why couldn't you accept it? Okay, suit is tight, what can I do now? Why didn't you accept? Why do you react? Do you have answers? No, the tailor didn't measure properly because he's not been taught by his teacher. Why did his teacher not teach him properly? There's a reason. For everything in the universe, there's a reason. You go one step back, that also has a reason. You go one step back, that also has a reason. So what is the reason for why everything the way it is? Because everything had to be the way it is. No, Bhagwan messed it up. You can't say that because the fellow who is saying unit speech, the capacity to speak is also knowledge of Bhagavan. Therefore, when you say knowledge is all knowledge, you understand that includes your small knowledge and my small knowledge. There is no knowledge outside all knowledge. Therefore, your knowledge is what? Ishvara. Your body is what? Ishvara. Pumpkin is what? Ishvara. When you drop the pumpkin, it breaks. If it's tender or too ripe. In between, it doesn't break. That is Ishvara. How it behaves under stress, pumpkin, is also Ishvara. What I'm saying to you, you get a ripe mango, you try to ship it, it doesn't work well. You pluck it raw, you ship it, it comes out well. That's the way it is designed. You only recognize what can take proper shipping and you ship as per that. If you're shipping potatoes, you just put them in a sack and throw them in a truck, no trouble. But you're shipping tomatoes and do that, you'll have a problem. Who decides? Your knowledge tells you. And if you found out, oh, I lost half a sack of tomatoes because I put it tomato first, then I put potato on that. We used to do that when bringing vegetables home. Then mother will tell you, is this the way to bring vegetables? You should know what goes below and what goes above. You should know. Correct? So that's knowledge. You made a mistake. Can Bhagavan say, oops, I made a mistake? If he made a mistake compared to what? What is right and what is wrong? So that in which there is no mistake is Bhagavan. All knowledge means flawless, infallible. Because your scales of right and wrong are based on your view, your small knowledge. With the small knowledge, you say, why was there a quake, earthquake, which killed so many thousands of people? Why was there a tectonic plate, these plates below, they clash, and there was a big earthquake. And what was a ocean became a mountain. That's what Mount Everest is. Why did it happen? At that time, you don't know what all would have happened. If you lived when that kind of thing happened, it's a huge event. But today, what do you look at? It's a source of all drinking water. So many glaciers. Correct? So, should the glaciers have been formed or not? Who will decide? When should the glaciers run dry? Now, there's a lot of noise about glaciers, melting away. Should they melt or not? Who will decide? How much energy should sun give? Who will decide? Suppose the sun gives you a little more energy, there'll be no life on Earth. If the Earth was a little closer, no life on Earth. If it's a little farther, no life on Earth. Why the Earth is exactly at this point where life is possible? They're still looking for other places where there is life. They don't find many signs of life. Why there is life here? We have answers for any of this? You can only observe the knowledge which is already manifest. That is science. The creation that is there you can observe. You can come to conclusions. But why the world is the way it is not known. But anything which exists is knowledge. Like your dress. Your dress is the knowledge of the tailor with the plus the fabric. Your food is the knowledge of your mother who cooks along with the vegetables. Right? The vegetables itself, how they are grown, is the knowledge of the farmer along with some things he has. But how a particular vegetable will be is the knowledge of Ishvara. If you grow it in a place which has a lot of, organic minerals, it gives you a particular taste. If it grows with new fertilizers, it has a different taste. Why? Ishvara. If you put a lot of pesticides, that vegetable is going to hurt you. Why? Ishvara. So you understand what is Ishvara now? Everything with Ishvara means you can't miss Ishvara. What's the use of knowing this? See, at every point we have to understand. So what? So what? Let it be so. Now, if you want to make any choices, you have to know things as they are. Okay? You have to know things as they are. Then only you can make choices properly. If not, your choices will be based on wrong data or incomplete data. So what is it that helps me be, what is objectivity? I know a thing as it is. Now you look at a person and you say, that person is not nice, he's not good. Why? Because of your small knowledge. In your view, that person is not okay. But if you are objective, you understand one thing. That person is the way he or she is because they could not have been different. See, the whole world is the way it is because a lot of factors have come together. It's like they will say the possibilities have collapsed in quantum physics. There's a collapsing of all possibilities. And that alone gives you what is right now. Which means if you're objective, see, right now, we think something is an object of my like, something is an object of my dislike. And generally, some of the reasons why they are of dislike, especially with people, is because I think they should be different. Right? Or a situation, you wish or you want the situation to be different. Why? Because you don't know. You feel the situation could have been different. But if you understand that Ishvara is the infallible Ishvara, then nothing can be different than what it is. And there is a reason why it is the way it is. You can only work with what is. Your wishing something is other than what is doesn't change it. You have an ability to introduce or cause some things to change, but we do not have the ability to make it what we want it to be. Somebody had a child, they wished it was a daughter, but it was a son. What can you do? That's the way it is, right? So I'm saying the more you understand that what is has a cause, you don't blame things for what you find. You learn to accept what is objectively and respond to it. And if you don't see that, then your whole life is fighting what is. We fight what is our past, people we are with, our bodies. Whatever we see, everything can be different in our mind. And Ishvara, when we say it's all knowledge, means it is flawless. And it is not one more thing. Everything is knowledge. The world is but knowledge. Right? Now, that knowledge accounts for the way this body is. That accounts for the way this mind is. That accounts for the possibilities of what can change in this body and this mind. Everything is Ishvara doesn't mean that, so what should I do? Within this world, certain things you can change, certain things you can't change. That knowledge is again Ishvara. We are trying to be appreciative of what is. It is like pure science research, okay? Why do we do pure science research? What will you gain by doing research? What do you gain? Applied science is only when you have pure science. So you're always trying to stretch your knowledge more and more. What are you trying to find? Science means you're trying to get to the cause. If you could understand there is a cause for everything, that itself is a big thing. And science must acknowledge that there is a cause for everything. Otherwise, you can't look further. Correct? So this science is stretching it, but science will never have an end because there is always something more to know. Right? Now, this all knowledge Ishvara means, it also means why you are born the way you born. Why not you born as a rabbit? That is also knowledge. What happens to you after this body drops is also knowledge. Whether there was a body before this is also knowledge. It's all knowledge. And all knowledge is Ishvara. So what I was saying now, I am not entirely accountable. In fact, I'm barely accountable for what is. Right? But what I do, the Veda tells me, is every human being's action, every being who has a free will, their action results in the world. The world that you see today is nothing but the outcome of the results of actions of all living beings. Which means the world we are in today is partly shaped by what we do. And the world next instant is shaped by what each of us do. It's shaped by that. Right? So this vision of Ishvara means, and that Ishvara is a conscious being. And that conscious being is available for tapping for grace. That's a huge point. That you can tap grace, you can look for some help by invoking that Ishvara in a given form. Right? If you look, our entire culture is grounded in this vision of what is Ishvara. The way we live, the way you worship, the way you revere everything in nature. You're traveling on a train. Now it's lesser with all AC coaches. But earlier, if you travel on a train and if you're on a bridge on a river, what would people do? You will see people dropping coins from the train. Why? Ganga Ma. There's Ganga below. I want to offer something. People who drop fruits at times. And there are boys below with boats to collect the coins. That's the way it is, right? A cow is worshipped because a cow is also a manifestation of Ishvara. Not just a cow. Every animal is a manifestation of Ishvara. Dashara, what do you do on the ninth day? What do you worship? All tools and instruments. Why do you worship tools? Because they are also a manifestation of Ishvara. In anything you can see Ishvara. You respect life. The world is not meant for my consumption. The world is worship worthy. It commands reverence, not, an attitude of saying it's to be consumed by me. Your whole worldview is shaped by one underlying fact. All that is here is Ishvara. And this Ishvara, who is all knowledge, how are you going to know? How are you going to know the Ishvara? I can't know, today if you send me back to college, I can't study maths because I've forgotten all the basics. Calculus is all gone. How will I know everything? It's impossible. But then, this knowledge you see in your case, you and your knowledge, does your knowledge affect you? All the things you see are your knowledge, okay? Suppose you think of a pat, you think of a elephant, all right? Now you thought of an ant. Did you change? Did you change? Now you think of a huge jumbo liner, airliner. Now you think of a little bicycle. Did you change? Are you changing when you see something? When you see the world, what do you really see? The knowledge in your mind is moving. That's all that's happening. So if you see an elephant and you're okay, and you see a giraffe, you're the same, then if you see a monster, are you going to be different? I'm afraid now. Fear also you see. You're not afraid, you're aware of the fear, right? Now, this conscious being that you are, can you see the conscious being? Can you objectify consciousness that you are? See, you see everything. Very simple, okay? You see the waking world. You see the dream world. You see the sleep world. Are you the same or different? To see all these, you're the same. You celebrated your birthday last year. You're celebrating it now. Are you the same person or different? Swamiji, now I'm older. That's okay. That you who says I'm older, is that the same person who was there last year in birthday or different? Same person. Are you changing? Anything that you objectify, any knowledge that comes and goes, comes and goes. No knowledge in your mind is forever. Is that true or not? It appears, it goes. It appears, it goes. It's knowledge. But how far does it stay? How long does any piece of knowledge stay? Momentary. Memory, you can bring it back, reload. But any piece of knowledge, anything that comes is one thought. Correct? Now, what are you? Are you the thoughts? Or are you the one who watches the train of thoughts? Know the train of thoughts. So if a thought of a monkey or a giraffe doesn't hurt you, how can any thought hurt you? Now, if whether you knew ABCD or whether you knew now you are a master of English, MA in English, okay? Are you different? You're the same. Suppose instead of MA you had double MA. Are you different? Mama. Are you different? No. Suppose you're a PhD. Are you different? No. Suppose God is all the PhDs put together plus more. Is he different as a conscious being? At the level of conscious being, what difference can you account for? Differences are what knowledge you see. I know all the ragas. Wonderful. You know, so there is, Ranjini Gayatri, very beautifully saying. And at the age of 2, they could identify ragas. That's a great vibhuti. But the one who could identify ragas, that same person today is identifying other things too. That being, that conscious being, is she different? And will she become different if she stops identifying ragas one day? She will say, I could identify raga so well even from two, and now I can't identify. That's what she will say if she has that situation. Is she same or different? Same. Suppose she has, she's able to recall everything that's happened in her life. Is she same or different? Same. So if you are the same despite all the knowledge that is changing, your body is changing, your mind is changing, you remain the same. What would Ishvara be? All knowledge. What would he be? A conscious being. How do you distinguish one conscious being from another? What will separate one consciousness from another? Space is an object of consciousness. Time is an object of consciousness. Everything we know is an object of consciousness. Do you know what is an object of consciousness? It's just a thought of that object right now. But what is consciousness? Do you have to think? Do you have to think? Do you have to do something? To say I am, what do you have to do? That I am, is it subject to any change? That at that level, small knowing consciousness, all knowing consciousness, the difference is not in consciousness. The difference is in your mind, in my mind, and in as though mind of Ishvara. At that level, there is unity. At the level of minds and bodies and things, there are differences. Now, the Veda takes you all the way and tells you, look, that conscious being, which is Ishvara, is you. Which means anything you see, really like in your dream, your whole dream world, like it is you manifested. In the same way, in waking also, everything you see happens to be you. Which you? Not the father, not the mother, not the fellow who has this body, not the man, not the woman, not the Indian. None of those are all identities you take on. This is what Vedanta talks about. Okay? But to get to that, Vedanta is the end of Veda. But before you get there, you need a mind which can drop a lot of things. A mind which is able to be objective to everything. Otherwise, your mind will not move away from the world. The mind is always involved. I might sit down quietly, physically, but examine and see how often is your mind quiet? How often is your mind quiet, not doing anything? You can be very tired doing nothing. Have you noticed that? When you're worried, when you worry yourself out totally, nothing has happened. Physically, nothing has happened. But there's a fellow who is calling you and troubling you. You know, somebody who bothers you on the phone. The anticipation of his call will make you troubled because you lost money to a cyber scam. You lost money to cyber scam. The thought of him calling you will make you shudder. Correct? Because you don't know how to deal with it. You have had it once. Enough. Right? The thought of the fact that your new business venture won't take off and you invested 20 crores in it will give you sleepless night or not. The thought of the fact that income tax might raid you and get you will give you a sleepless night or not. What does it take for you to lose your sleep? Anything should happen? Nothing needs to happen. You just have to imagine something may happen. Enough. Is it not enough? So now the point is, this is how the world is. You're subject to worry. So I'm saying even for 10 minutes in a day, I'm not able to sit quietly. Even if I sit to meditate, that's when the mind will get all ideas. Because till now you didn't give it time. You've been thinking of this and that and that and this. Now when you try to sit quietly and you say, drop this, drop that. Now all those thoughts which are waiting for an opportunity to express will bubble up like a stream. You will see that. If you really have done some time, you will notice that the time when you want to meditate is when the time the mind seems to go all over the place, or it'll go to sleep. Because meditation is relaxation. You're relaxed means the body will go to sleep. You're very relaxed. So how are you going to think of, drop everything and just, understand Ishvara? First, to get there, we need to be able to appreciate the world as it is and take it for what it is. How will I do it? My sense of self-worth is so poor that I want to gain some validity in life, I'm a somebody. How do you gain that? I have a profession. I've done very badly in a profession. I have done very badly as a family person. I have done very badly as, in my artistic activities, whatever, social activities. What's your self-opinion of yourself? Not great. Are you going to come to Vedanta class? Impossible. It won't work. You must have a relatively good view of yourself. I'm saying, how do you become? Forget Vedanta. Forget the fact that everything is one reality, you are that. How do you accept the world that you face? How do you live your life? Suppose a tragedy struck, like COVID. You know, people lost members in the family. How do you reconstruct your life? Are you able to reconstruct your life after a life-changing event? Easily? What happens? You lost a near and dear one. What happens? Suddenly you feel your whole world has collapsed. Does it not feel that way? You had all your dreams of becoming, clearing a UPSC. It didn't happen. You tried 3 years, didn't happen. What can happen to you? If you had put so many eggs in that basket, you will be a basket case. Because you feel you're useless. You gave up everything and you said, I've studied 3 years. And at the end of 3 years, everybody is asking you, okay, this saal did you make it? No, rank is worse than last year. Last time I had got all India, AIR 5, I had ranked. This time what? AIR 5,555. What happened? I don't know. Next year I'll try. Next year didn't show up in the list at all. What will happen to your self-image? Goes, right? So I'm saying, how do you deal with life every day as it brings you? You depended so much on relationship and that relationship fell apart. What do you do? You raise children with a lot of love and care, but those children today tell you, who are you? What do you do? They tell you, Dad, you're too old. Give the business to us. We'll run it now. You don't know how to make money. We'll do it. What do you do? Is this not life today? You put all your efforts in getting your company to well. You had, you are a scientist. You had so many copyrights and, royalties and everything. And one fine day said, okay, now you're no longer productive. You leave. What are you going to do? Your image is all gone. Or you think you'll get a Nobel Prize. You think you'll get a Nobel Prize for doing nothing useful. And if you don't get it, you get very upset. Then you say, Nobel Committee is all useless. They're political fellows. The grapes are sour. Whether you say grapes are sour or sweet, how do you feel? Let down. You may be a great, very powerful position, but what are you looking for? You're looking for the validation of five-man committee to call you somebody. That's what you want. You don't have the ability to stand on your own feet and be comfortable. You did something good, be happy. No, I stopped war in so many places. Fine. But are you happy being yourself, sir? A busy businessman, same person, at some time was asked, you know, you know, you've been so successful in life. Is there anything you regret or wish were different? Yeah, I don't have the time to enjoy my success. This is what a person said long ago. Everything is there, but still you're unhappy. What accounts for the difference being happy? Alexander the Great King was not happy. And he was surprised at how the Indian saints are happy. The sadhus are happy. So apparently he went and he wanted to give something to the sadhu. I don't know if this is true or not. I've heard this, okay? Not read it anywhere. So he asked, what do you want? The sadhu said, we don't want anything, just go away. King is not happy. And his soldier said, you can't say no to him. He wants to give something, you take something. Okay, if he wants to give something, ask him to stop blocking the sun from my face. Move away. Move away. Then they said, again I heard this, okay, that apparently Alexander told people before he died that, if you tell people that even the great Alexander, you bury me with my hand stretched out, to show that even Alexander the Great, who ruled the whole world, could not take anything with him. He had to go empty-handed. We can't carry anything away from here. And when you die, you wonder what's next. What's coming next? Till you're alive, you think you live forever. It's amazing, Today you don't think tomorrow you will end, right? Even if next door somebody dies, you don't think it's your number next. You always think my number is somewhere. Until suddenly you discover some test revealed something, some mass. Something it revealed, okay? Now what happens? Now till it is ruled as benign, you're in trouble. Right? And even if it is cancerous, what do you hope? Swamiji, what is my chances of survival? You want to know. You want to survive. Are you happy to live? Are we happy to live? Tomorrow, pack up. No. Give me one more day. Right? So I'm saying this is our life. So forget about knowing everything is myself. Leave that alone for now. How do you live life sanely? You can live life sanely if you're objective to the world and to yourself. And that objectivity is what is possible if you understand Ishvara as all knowledge. How? When we say all knowledge, look, you have so many branches of knowledge, right? Today. So you have, if you go to a university, how many departments do you have? Department of, no, first science, arts, commerce. What is science? Even a grade 10 student will tell you what? Physics, chemistry, mathematics, science, biology. Right? Arts means what? History, geography, right? Music, dance, arts. Okay. That is fine arts. Arts, fine arts. Then what? Commerce is what? How to do business. Economics, commerce, some mathematics. Mathematics is there everywhere. Now, where is artificial intelligence? It's everywhere. Now, the point is, how do you divide knowledge? You divide knowledge. What's the basis? Certain area you say is maths. Certain area you say it's physics. Within physics, you have astrophysics, nuclear physics. You divide further. Astronomy you have. Then you have radio astronomy. Right? So what are you doing? You're subdividing knowledge. How do you understand knowledge? By dividing into a lot of zones in a way. Right? Medical means what? You will say. You look at all the specialties in a hospital now. You start. Start with what? Head. Okay. What will head be? Neurology, let us say. I don't know. Okay. Psychology, neurology. Then you have one fellow who is specialist on neck surgery. Will be one fellow. Right? Then you come, of course, this part, the heart, central, and cardiologist now. Cardiologist is not enough. Cardiac surgeon or just cardiologist? If a surgeon, is he just plain surgeon or is he intervening fellow who will send one thing through your, through some artery and do some work inside you? Right? Or is he the fellow who can give you a shock and do something to you? Another guy. Then if it is a small child having a heart problem, then what? You have to go to a fellow who is neonatology, and in that also he's got cardiology, perhaps. I don't know. All I'm saying is, how many branches of knowledge? So how do you understand a hospital? You understand it. Nowadays, you don't go to see a generalist in a hospital, okay? You always look for a specialist, correct? So you have that much general knowledge to know that what is specialization you need to go to. Now the point is, the whole world is also samsara, I know, hospital. One kind of hospital. It's all knowledge, different kind of knowledge, okay? So now, knowledge of physics. How the world is, the physical world is knowledge of physics. Whose knowledge? Ishvara's knowledge. Therefore, physics is what? A manifestation of Ishvara. Biology is what? Life sciences. All living beings you cover there. Medicine is included there, okay now? Is including probably paleontology, fossils of live beings. All of this is what? Knowledge of Ishvara. Then human mind, how does it operate? Psychology. Knowledge of Ishvara. So now you see everything. In everything you see knowledge. And it's not just what you know. Now you say that if you give this particular medicine, the blood pressure will go down. Right? Why does that medicine work that way? That is also knowledge. And there is a side effect for it. That is also knowledge. Perhaps not appreciated as well as the main effect, but that's also knowledge. So I'm saying the whole Jagat, in any situation, you can see the physical world is the way it is because that is how Ishvara manifests as the rules of physics. The chemical world, the pH in your blood, etc., depends on chemical composition. That is also what? Knowledge of Ishvara as chemistry. It is ruled by chemistry. And whether you study hydraulics for engineering or you study hydraulics in your heart, in your whole circulatory system, is it different? The pressure differential, what it takes for things to move from one side to another, is it different? Is osmosis in a plant different from osmosis in a human cell? How do things exchange? It's the same knowledge. So the blood pressure, when you talk about what is the maximum pressure it can handle, the blood vessel, when it will rupture or something, it's all law of physics, is it not? So now you can start appreciating that in everything in life, whether it's a physical world or your own mind, how it responds is all psychology based on background. How the living beings live is biology, and everything is governed by the laws. That you can take the blood of one fellow and give it to another fellow is possible. But you try taking one fellow's kidney and give it to another fellow? Not so easy. Why? A lot of rejection will happen. Why? Not so simple as blood. Right? You cannot say, I will take away all the antibodies and put the kidney. It doesn't work that way. You have to find matching kidney. Why you need a matching kidney? Why not just like blood, one O plus 4 as, take his kidney and put it? It should work. You try to understand, but it's all knowledge. Right? So what I'm saying is, if you recognize Ishvara as what we call an order, order means predictability. Everything in the universe has a certain reason, the way it is and the way it changes. Aging is knowledge too. How we age, how we grow. Aging is later, right? So that is something that we have to appreciate. And if you appreciate that aging is the norm, and when we age, we have certain challenges, you accept. We have to accept. Why do we accept? Because that's the way it is set up. You appreciate Ishvara in terms of saying everything you see is sthane, is in place, is appropriate. Why? I don't know that, at the age of 55, I'll have a heart attack, but it could have happened. It has happened. Okay, fine. It's all right. What can I do? What is possible? Okay, you have a different lifestyle. Change your lifestyle. You can do that. Knowledge. But I'm saying you don't start by saying, why me? Your children don't take care of you. Understand, that's a possibility. Everything that happens happened because it had to happen that way. And you have an ability to change things, certain things, and you have no ability to change some things. The more we appreciate what can I change, what is yet to unfold, I may be able to change. What has already unfolded, there is no way I can change it. Past cannot be changed. Cannot be changed. My parentage cannot be changed. Whatever I didn't do well, which I thought I should have done better, I can't change. That I made a wrong choice and got the wrong relationship, I can't change. Can't change. What can I do? I can do something of what is yet to manifest. Can I ensure something will happen? I can't. I can do my best. But whether I will get the outcome I want is not in my hand. That is called objectivity. Which means even as I act, I'm willing to take the outcome as it comes because there are too many factors which I may not even be aware of. I do not know the law which governs the relationship between my action and the outcome of my action. I do not know all the laws. I do not even know all the factors. There are so many hidden factors. Now, I blame myself for something which I say I am a failure. The fact is, I can never be a failure because if I'm a failure, Ishvara is a failure, really. Because what is Ishvara. And Ishvara cannot be wrong, I told you. Infallible is Ishvara. The more I am able to see, the more I can accept the world and the more I can accept my own impression of myself. The more I can accept of myself, the more at peace I will be. Nothing has changed in life. My past is all the same, yet now my past becomes acceptable. My future remains as uncertain as it was, but now the future uncertainty is acceptable to me because I know that's the way it is going to be. Right? I am open to taking the things that come to me as they come. And that is impossible unless you see an order to everything in life. Order means you recognize that this is the only way it could be. If I drop the ball, it does come down by gravity. It does not differ. It cannot be different. Why? Because gravity is the rule. You don't question gravity and say, why the ball always falls down when I drop it? Why doesn't it fly up? You don't ask that question. Why? When the day ends, you may say, I wish there were 27 hours in a day, but you know it never is going to happen. You know there are only 24 hours. You accept the fact. Right? You may say, oh, why is it still raining in this year? That's resistance. But if you really understand, weather is unpredictable. Unpredictable based on your current modeling. The more information you have a better model to predict weather. You're much better than before, but still you will never be perfect because there is still things hidden from you. You will never know everything because that is Ishvara. If you know everything, you are Ishvara. And that status human being never gets. But it makes a huge difference to recognize, this is objectivity, to see that everything in the world is orderly. Though I think it is disorderly, my thinking of disorder is also orderly. And that, so what? If you can see that there is order and disorder, everything is in order. It's not easy to see the meaning, but I'm saying this to you because the fact is this, how much ever we study, sometimes we still feel that something is not right. Something should be different. You do whatever you want, make it different, but understand that you cannot call all the shots. And to be able to be alive to this fact that I can only respond to situations, I cannot ensure an outcome, I cannot ensure situations, is intelligence. And that intelligence, that ability to accept things, cannot come unless it is your knowledge that what is there is in order. And that knowledge is what we call the knowledge of Ishvara. Not as a person, not as a form, not as just some idea, but to see that everything in the universe is in its own place. And within that, I do have an ability to change certain things. I do have an ability to contribute certain things. I do have an ability to grow in terms of my own non-acceptance of what is. I do have that capacity. I can say everything is Ishvara, so let me suffer. If you can enjoy it, please do. But you don't. I want to be free from sorrow. Yes, you can come out of sorrow. Partly because part of sorrow will go away by recognizing that sorrow has its cause. It's not you. And the reason you feel sorrowful, also there's a cause. That's also not you. Because two people are there. You feel sorrowful, another doesn't. Why you feel sorrowful? There's a reason. So it's all like that, all fate. No. You can respond. You can bring about changes. Ishvara is dynamic. It's everything it's a dynamic equilibrium. That is why Nataraja is the image for Ishvara. Movement is Ishvara. Dance of Nataraja means that the world is running. If the dance stops, it is like pralaya, there's nothing. Every hair of his flies. His leg flies to the head level. It's all dance. What is dance? Dance is movement. What is Jagat? Gachati, Gachati, movement. Jagat is Nataraja dancing. That's how our Vedic vision of Ishvara is. It's a dynamic balance. Everything is changing, but yet there are laws which make the changes exactly what they should be. There is predictability there. A given karma will produce a given result. Predictability is there. This is something which science will never tell me. And with this understanding of Ishvara in mind, to make us see it, to help us grow into understanding, the Veda tells what kind of a life a human being can live. What would help a person grow? That is Dharma. Dharma walks in. What is it that will allow you to live with minimum or no internal conflicts? What disturbs me is my own internal conflicts, not the world. My resistance of the world disturbs me. My conflicts disturb me. That to address is to be informed about what is to be accepted and what is to be resisted, if at all. Resisting what cannot be changed does not help you. Changing what you can definitely helps. So to know the difference between what I can change and what I cannot change is intelligence. And to know what I cannot change, I better understand Ishvara. And to know what I can change also, I better understand Ishvara. And it is not just some science. I can pray to Ishvara to help me know him. That's called surrender. To accept Ishvara totally or not resist is surrender. Surrender to Ishvara is not just a namaskara somewhere, one salutation. It is seeing that living dynamic reality in everything. So you accept a fact, that is surrender. You don't resist something, it's surrender. And you act. Not just surrender means you do something if you can, do it. That's again your contribution to the total. So this whole setup of saying that you live as a contributor and you do what you can gives you a life which is meaningful. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter how much wealth you have. It doesn't matter which country you're in. It doesn't matter what time you're in. If you can accept yourself while responding to the world, you have made your life. Because you're able to accept yourself as you are, despite everything. Your profession doesn't change, your background doesn't change, your community doesn't change, your comforts don't change, your health doesn't change, yet you're able to see it's fine. How? Because you recognize nothing happens without a reason. Is this unscientific? or is it scientific? It is scientific. But science stops saying you only observe this in the outer world, perception and inference. Why you are born in this situation, it can't answer. What will happen to you when this body drops, it can't answer. Is this one birth or many births? It can't answer. What accounts for happiness and unhappiness? It can't answer. That if you reach out, it will do something good to you. It can't. It can't tell you. If you do good things in life, you'll have a better life later. It can't tell you. Science can't tell you. These are the laws which are not available to be perceived and inferred. This is called adrishta. What cannot be seen but is adrishta. How do you know it is? Look at the world. Why there is change? How do you explain change? It's random. If it's random, forget trying to change it. If it's random, because you change it, it'll change next moment. You don't know. Your effort has no meaning if the world is random. One time, you poured water in your mouth, your thirst is quenched. Next time you put, your throat is burning. What will you do? You won't know when to drink water and when not to drink it. You put your foot down, the earth stays. Next time you put down, it sinks. Will you step out? Everything you do is based on predictability. We open our mouth because we know we can produce a sound, predictable sound. Right? Every step we take in life is based on predictability. But we restrict the predictability only to certain areas, which we know about. But why everything happens, there must be a cause. And there is an unknown cause, but there is a cause. And the Shastra tells you, look, it is called adrishtam. Unseen, but it is there. Because what is unmanifest alone becomes manifest. Nothing comes from nothing. Nothing ever could. This is the Vedic vision. So if you understand the vision of the Veda, you live in a way which is in harmony with the whole world, because you are not away from the world. Your body, your mind, your senses, your thoughts, your memories are all part of the world, because they are all objectified by you. Idam pratyaya gocharaha. Anything you say, this is the world. What is the only thing which is not this? I. And whatever in that I is this, you give it out to this. If you can only hold on to I, that I is never in trouble. But I'm unable to, because the I is so intertwined with this body, this mind, this senses. How do I reduce this wrong twining? You need grace. And the grace is tapped by living a life which is in harmony with Ishvara, with the world. And that means it is not what you do, but how you do that counts. It's not your actions alone, but the reason behind your actions that count. It's not what ended up happening, but what you did to make things happen that counts. So you can see that you are now in charge. You have an ability to make a difference in your own life. And it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter where you live. But you can be happy the way you are. Because you recognize that happiness is really acceptance of yourself when facing off to the world. Happy by yourself in sleep, everybody is. When you face the world, what makes you happy is you're able to see the world is okay. If you say it's not okay, you'll be unhappy. How do I see it? How do I change my way of looking at the world except through the lens of my likes and dislikes? That is when you recognize a larger picture, or a higher reality, if I can say that. A reality which pervades my life through orders. Physiological order, psychological order, physical order, metaphysical order, anything. It's all knowledge. And when you recognize, the more you see Ishvara, there is less of you until there is only Ishvara. If there's only Ishvara, you're made it. And when this person understands what is Ishvara, the more you understand, you grow and you become more comfortable being yourself. And such a person alone really is a person who can move and inquire into what is this Ishvara really. All this is Ishvara, but what is Ishvara? I still don't understand. It's just a word. Vibhuti Yoga, in Gita, everything is Ishvara. He explained in so many ways. Rasoham apsu kaunteya, prabhasmi sheshi surya yoho. I am the water in the rivers. I am the light in the sun. I am the smell in the earth. I am everything. Still, you don't understand Ishvara. The only way we really understand Ishvara is the Swarupa of Ishvara, the very being of Ishvara is a conscious being, and that is inherently me. At that level, there is unity. And that unity is subject matter of Vedanta. And that unity is subject matter of Viveka Chudamani. Okay? So that is where we want to go. But Ishvara becomes a huge thing. Because unless you understand Ishvara, there is no possibility of being free from a sense of lack at a relative level, even, not even forget absolute. Okay? So Vedic vision is Ishavasyam idam sarvam. And for a human being, it's very important because every other being that we know is mechanical, is programmed. They come, they go. They don't have any sorrow for what happens. They don't have any gladness for what happens. They come and go. They just come and go. They're programmed to live. Whereas a human being is happy now, unhappy now. Happy now. See, if you're always unhappy, you will be happy being unhappy. You will never know what is unhappiness. Suppose you're always happy, you have no problem. When do you become unhappy? Only when you know what it means to be happy and what is the contradiction on the other side of it. So unless you know what is happiness, you cannot know what is sadness. But every human being knows what it is to be happy, don't we? Saddest kid also will know because he has also had happiness. Therefore, you cannot say, I don't know. This is how human being is kept alive. Gives you some joy now and then. Then dukkha, 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 sukha. Sukha, 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 dukkha for some people. For some others, dukkha, sukha, dukkha, sukha. How patterns emerge, you can't tell. How they will unfold, you can't tell. Why he is always happy, I am always sad. This fellow, Swamiji, cheated so much, all corrupt fellows. They are so happy, they're doing well. How come I get all trouble in life, Swamiji? Ishvara, Dharma, no use. Hey, don't say that. He is enjoying his past capital. You will also enjoy your present capital. You build your capital. Right? So this makes a huge difference. Right? And what is that? How do I bring about a change in my values and attitudes to grow into a conflict-free person? That is Dharma. And that Dharma, Veda tells you what is Dharma, how to live life. And when you live life as per Dharma, it's not just living means only attitudes. You have to work, you have to do things in your field of action, which will make those attitudes real for you. That is what living life with those attitudes means. We will explore that a little and then we will slowly enter into the Vedanta aspect. Okay. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Any questions? Otherwise, I have some which have come and submitted. I will look at them. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. Okay, I will look at the questions on the web then. All right. Okay. 1 second. I will pull the right one. Oh, not that. I'm sorry. There it is. Okay. All right. So question is this. Pranam Swamiji. Puja is said to purify the mind and help us in our journey of self-discovery. If the puja is not done correctly according to the scriptures, at times it's too complicated or difficult to understand, will that hinder our progress in our journey? The question clear? By the way, all of you can see these questions on your own, in the log file. If you open it, you will see all the questions, all right? So you should know. There's a link for that. So now, see, puja is what? It's a way to relate with Ishvara. Puja is an action, okay? So when you act, then the question is, how should you act? So there are some rules how puja is to be done. Understand one thing. Now, the person who's asking the question is an Indian who is a first generation Indian in another country. Therefore, even more distant from the traditions of our country, right? But that family has retained that religion. You go forward, but the roots you're disconnected. It's understandable you have apprehensions. Understand one thing. The most important thing is you relate with Ishvara. Okay? Conventions have been there in place, how it should be done. So we'll hear of, 5-step puja, 12-step puja, 16-step puja, and there is certain type of glass you keep, certain kinds of flower you offer, certain fruits you offer. These are all conventions. Okay? Bhagavan is not going to be upset if you offer him a different fruit than what's conventional. On Ganesh Chaturthi, if you don't make modakam, is Ganesha going to be upset? If you give him laddu, I don't think he'll be upset, okay? If you give him, dry fruit laddu, common now, then what will happen? Will he be unhappy? I don't think he'll be unhappy. What Bhagavan says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati. Tad aham ashnami. Anything you offer with love to Bhagavan, he accepts. He says, you don't have flowers? Offer a leaf. You don't even have leaf? Offer a drop of water. I have lot of flowers, fruit, leaf, everything, but I want to offer you nothing. No. Offer something with love. Okay? But whatever you offer with love is accepted. You see, if you've seen in India, you go to Ganga, people will take water like this from the Ganga and offer it back to the Ganga. What did you give Ganga? You took from her and gave back to her, but still that action is a blessing. You recognize this is all I can offer. What can I offer to you which is not yours, Bhagavan? Everything is yours. Tera tujhko arpan. Kya lage mera? What's mine? Everything is yours. Swami used to joke, every day this person sings, sab kuch tera. Next day again he offers, you already offered yesterday. How can you take again and offer today? That is human being. We take ownership and then we give. But understand one thing, that ownership really, everything is really owned by Bhagavan. It's only a notion of ownership we have. And giving to a Bhagavan is really giving the notion of ownership is given up. That's what's happening there. That's why na mama, not mine. That's the main thing. When I offer to Bhagavan, this doesn't belong to me. This belongs to you. With that spirit, you do. Don't worry that you don't follow the convention exactly. If you know and if you have a particular value for following, you follow it. But if you don't know, let that not be a reason for not relating to Ishvara. Relate as you would, but do things clean. For example, we won't offer meat to Bhagavan. That's not a done deal in our tradition in general. Even that is done in certain tribal customs and it's not wrong per se. A fisherman will offer the catch of fish. It's not wrong per se. But if you go to a Vedic temple, they will not offer fish probably. That is how it is. But what is more important, the fisherman also recognizes that this catch of fish is Bhagavan's grace. That, and there are people in Indian community, in Japan, Indian means, native, called Ainu Indians. And apparently, they hunt bear. And when they hunt bear, bear is Bhagavan to them. And they tell Bhagavan, we'll free you. They will hunt the bear and they will bring the bear and dress it up like a bear. And the first piece of meat is given to the bear. That reverence they have. I mean, I can see that it is all, see, you have to live. That's how they have learned to live. And they hunt. The people who lived buffaloes, they lived with buffaloes. The buffalo was Bhagavan for Native Indians in the Americas. So any form is okay. How you relate is okay. Conventions come from a place and time. If you follow them, if you know them, good. If not, do things in a way which is honest from the bottom of your heart. Relate with Bhagavan. That's good. Okay. Then next question is, what happened? Okay, sorry. You see my screen now? Questions? Okay. While Itihasa and Purana shows us how man must live according to what the Vedic text prescribed, why are there so many Upanishads and Vedantic texts which ultimately teach the same truth? Just like how other religions have one book, can we just follow one book like the Gita? Has it got something to do with the timelines that books were written in? Or is there a reason for so many texts which explain the same truth? Look, even the fact is this. First, answer to your question is, there are many Upanishads. It doesn't mean every one of them has to be read by you. Okay? But there are methods of teaching which are subtly different in different Upanishads. Okay, forget Upanishad for a minute. Upanishad, understand one thing, is knowledge. Suppose you're teaching a child basic arithmetic. Is there only one way of teaching arithmetic? Or are there many ways? I was not taught with an abacus or something. You learned like this only, With your fingers only you learn. But now modern world is what? If you go to Montessori school, what will you find? They have a method. And they have certain toys and certain ways of teaching. And they have done some research and think that's the right way to do it. But is there a uniform agreement on that? Is there only Montessori system today? No. In Montessori system, I believe a certain age band is kept together. It's not necessarily, first, second, third. And you have the same teacher for length of time. One teacher who's there with you the whole day. Right? And they have games and they have things which will help you learn. That's the way. Somebody discovered that way. In our Veda Pathshala, what will they do? No Montessori, okay? Sit down. Chant, come on. You have to chant the Veda. You have to learn by heart. That's the way we learned. Even today, in the Pathshala. Are they any less than the others? No. So, now, math also can be taught in so many ways. English can be taught in so many different ways. Right? So, what is important is knowledge gets through. Therefore, Upanishads are many, yes, partly because every Veda Shakha had to have an Upanishad too to be complete. Right? It's there. That's the way it is. Now, what Puja Swami would tell, he would say, if you listen to my public talk and you're ripe enough, you can be free. You will get moksha. Just public talk. You don't need to study any Upanishad. Gita is enough too. Any one Upanishad is enough. But Swamiji, what about this 3-year course? A 3-year course is okay because there's a general, average. You study a few things in that 3 years, you learn something. It's a beginning actually. It's not even an end. Right? So understand one thing. Many Upanishads are there, but many need not be studied. But for me, I want only one book like Gita. Why? Why do you want to restrict yourself to one book? One Gita. Gita tells you what is there in all the Shastras is there in Gita. It says, why study other books? Study Gita. Gita alam. Gita eva alam. True. In fact, if you want to hold on to one book, Gita is wonderful because it will teach you how to live and how to gain moksha also. It does everything. It's Yoga Shastra and Moksha Shastra. It's wonderful. But the vision in all the Upanishads is the same, yet there are different ways of teaching. And that teaching, not only Upanishads are different, the same Upanishad is taught by many people also. And that also is a difference. The examples given by teachers in each time is different. At the same time, two teachers can do differently. How many people are there in YouTube you go and see now? YouTube teachers are countless. You don't know who to select now. That's the problem. Right? So this is no issue. Upanishads many. And see, for the others, there is historicity. Bible is a historic book. Quran is a historic book. It is dated. We are sharing a timeless reality. It's just that it is revealed to rishis and mantras, and they're revealed in a particular way, they're shared. So whether you study Kathopanishad or you study Mundakopanishad makes no difference. But you know what? For some person, Kathopanishad will seem like daylight. For somebody else, Mundaka may feel like daylight. For somebody else, both of them are still darkness, and he needs to study 5 more books. Right? It's not books really sometimes. It's also how well we are prepared. All right? But all said and done, you could study one, you could study money, but there are differences in the prakriya. Some will teach you what is called as avasthatraya. It is the same you across waking, dream, and sleep. Somebody else will teach you it is the same you in the sthula sharira, sukshma sharira, karana sharira. Something else will teach you, the one who is in every thought is you. So there are methods of teaching which are different. But what is taught ultimately is all that is there is Ishvara, and you are not away from Ishvara. Okay? Last question is, when do I draw the line with regard to advising children? As a parent, I have instilled values to the extent I know and I have learned. But today, there are so many distractions in the form of media and friends. Suppose children take decisions which is not in line with family values. How do I deal? How do I come out of the guilt that perhaps I didn't do the right parenting? This is a difficult problem which is common today in society, that we have a change, a big change in lifestyle, a big change in terms of how our past generation was and how we are and how the next generation is. This web generation, and now more so the what do you call this, Facebook generation, is way different from what we were. Right? You are teaching them values which taught them values which you thought are appropriate. After a certain age, actually, the child is to be treated as a friend. In our culture, Manusmriti says, beyond 16, you treat the child as a friend. He's an adult. You can still help, but you can't expect them to be obedient or something. It doesn't work that way. Right? You do what you can. You advise, but advice is best when it is sought. When they don't seek, advice normally falls on deaf ears. Right? And how you live, more than just advice, is also very important. You can lead by example. Right? And see if you insist on certain values, see if the value of the value is understood by you and by the people you're trying to teach. Because I tell somebody, you should be honest. Right? And I see as a child that dishonesty seems to pay. All people who are dishonest do well and I don't do well. What do you think I will do? I will become dishonest, likely, because I don't see the cost of being dishonest. So if you promote a value as a parent, it will be very helpful for you to help the child understand the value of the value. That can make a difference. Very big difference. Right? And there should be freedom in the family to talk and discuss. So they have more free to ask you. There's no judgment of your children. You are helping them. You're not trying to curtail and control them. You're trying to help them grow into healthy adults. So we say, between the ages of 5 and 12 or so, Shastras will say, Tadayet. You use a stick. Because at that time, the child has to be made. Strict is not to punish the child, but to make it conform, where you give the value systems. But beyond 14, 15, and nowadays probably maturity happens earlier, so perhaps a little earlier, you have to, you know, let go. And once you've done your job, whether the children conform to those values or they, you know, change themselves is not in your hand. It's not in your hand. So even if you feel guilty, what are you going to do about it? You can't change it. Whatever you knew you did, right? You did your best. You offered that to Bhagavan and say, I've done my best. And if you still can do something, do it. Don't blame yourself for what is not your doing. You are accountable for what you did. You are not accountable for the outcome. Karmani eva adhikaraha ma phaleshu kadachana. Never can you be the author of the result. And in a family, you'll find sometimes same upbringing. One child grows up with those values very well, and another one doesn't. You'll see that too. And not only that, they'll seem wonderful till they're at home. They'll leave home, they go out, they study. Then when they come back, they are different. You will see they're different because they have peer pressure. They live with others and they learn different values. And once they get a job, they're even more different because till now you had the economic purse strings in your hand. Once that string is cut, when they can be on their own, they'll say, Mom, it's okay. If they're kind to you, they will probably hide something from you. If not, they will tell you, you suppress us, now it's all coming out. So we don't suppress them, we try to educate them, we try to help them see value. And if you still feel strongly they're going the wrong way, pray for them as well. That way, you will be doing what you can. You free yourself from the feeling of despair or helplessness by praying for them. Okay? Any other questions or follow up on this? No? We stop there? Okay. Anything on chat, Mahita?
No, Swamiji.
Okay, fine. All right. Thank you all.